That's it, y'all. We are live. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, a place for tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious to unite under all things art and tattoos. We encourage you to join in these live streams and real-world events where we offer a new option for connecting with each other to better your art, develop your skill set, and be with other like-minded artists. If you're new to our community, you can find us beaming out nearly every day. We've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand shows that are expanding nearly every day. I'd like to say thank you to everyone joining us on YouTube or Facebook, and a special thanks to those of you who are listening to the podcast. Now, our event schedule and notifications can be found in our official Reinventing the Tattoo community. To get there, search for and download Reinventing the Tattoo app found in both app stores, Apple or Google Play. You can also join directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All of our network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars can be enjoyed on demand and are stored in our library, as well as the YouTube and all of our podcast channels. If you're watching now, let us know that our streams are working by tagging a friend who loves tattoos or letting us know where you're beaming in from. In fact, we're actually beaming out 5 channels 24/7. To get there, you can go to reinventing247.com to win a sample from Cheyenne Cartridges, Raw Pigments, and D-Lies Pro. I'd also like to tell you guys about some of the weekly shows and drawing groups that we have going on. Every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m., you can find Jason Leeser with his Reinventing Drawing Group. All artists are welcome to join in and bring something you're working on, something you'd like critiqued, or just to talk about art in general. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m., we have the Tattoo Weekly, which is a show that talks about current events and different stuff like that with myself, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks of our affiliate Fireside Tattoo Network. And the hour right after that at 10 p.m., you can find our South Pacific Lockdown Escape with artists from Australia and other parts of the world, where we do like kind of different stuff. Like last week, we did a figure drawing exercise. The week before, we did a ZBrush demo. So definitely check that out at 10 p.m. Eastern every Sunday night. Every Monday evening at 9 p.m., we have our evening Canon class with subscribers led by Guy Aitchison. So to join that, subscribe to the Canon at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Also, every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. With Ricardo Sturdivant, we have another Reinventing Drawing group. Wednesdays at noon is the Tattoo Now show. And Thursdays at noon is the Tattoo Collecting podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. Also, Thursday mornings, you can find Kier, where she leads apprentices through some of the fundamentals of art. There's also a few ways to support the show, which is on our upcoming pro development and on-demand shows. There's content from Andre Malcolm, BJ Betts, Bob Tyrell, and others. Again, these can all be found at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. I would like to say thank you to our sponsors as well as letting us provide this community to you for free. Check out World Tattoo Events at worldtattooevents.com. They're the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events in the world. As we know, lots of stuff is updating and conventions are rescheduling like crazy. So definitely find them to stay up to date. Also, inkjet stencils. Print stencils from your mobile or computer. Save your time, your hands, or your apprentice's hands. Webinars and free samples can be found on their website. Also, Raw Pigments, an ink company that is tapping into the source with acrylic-free pigments that have been impressing artists across the globe. Find them at rawpigments.co. Thank you to D-Lies Pro, known internationally as Dermalize Pro. Protect your art. If you're using saran wrap, watch videos of tattooers to see what it's all about. Like I said, dermalizepro.com. Also, Gabe at Tattoo Now, providing technology for tattooers for more than 25 years. Pretty awesome stuff. Also, the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison. You can find his Biomech Encyclopedia, DVDs, machines, paintings, and more at guyaitchison.com. Of course, we want to say thank you to our affiliate Fireside Tattoo Network, the Apprenticeship Diaries, and ecofriendlytattoosupplies.com. So there's several upcoming real world events and different stuff like that where you can actually see us in person. We do have Haley who's going to join us at the Paradise BYOB October 3rd to 6th in Jiminy Peak. Tons of seminars and educational experience, webcasting shows live. Definitely don't miss that. paradisebyob.com. In November, some of the other members of the Reinventing crew, including myself, will be going to the Brussels Tattoo Convention. Next May, we'll be in Hell City, Columbus. Next July, the Rock River Tattoo Art Expo, which is an amazing venue anywhere, easy to get to from anywhere in the world. And next July, the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational with Tony Urbanik. And next October, the Paradise Tattoo Gathering will officially be back. All right, guys, we do welcome positive reviews on the channels and would love for you to follow us there. If you'd like to host a reinventing event, a drawing group, or to sponsor our community, contact us at management@reinventingthetattoo.com. Now I'm going to jump off in the background. I'll read off comments from the channels. I'll have my browser open. If you guys would like to share inspirations or references, just let me know. I would like to say thank you to our growing crew of contributing artists who are helping Reinventing reach more of the right people for the right reasons. Thank you for inspiring each other and everyone in our virtual Reinventing offices. All right, Haley, it is time. How are you doing? And we have a really awesome guest tonight, Joel. I'd like to hear a little bit more. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Thank you so much, Lauren. You killed it. Today I'm with Joel Mejia. He is a queer tattoo artist from Manteca, California. He has stunning realism in black and gray. Joel's going to talk to us about his experience in tattooing, share some secrets from his education and marketing, and how he applies it to his tattoo career. How has your week been, Joel? How are you?
It's been pretty great, honestly. This has been just like the highlighting point. I'm like, ever since you told me about this, I've been just ready to get on here and just talk with you, say what's up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been looking forward to this.
Me too. So how long have you been tattooing?
Are we counting my apprenticeship, or are we just saying like after
count after, I guess.
After the apprenticeship? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say my apprenticeship was maybe like, okay. So I guess if we don't count the apprenticeship, we'll say 5 years. It'll be 6 years in January, or 5 years in January if we don't count the apprenticeship. Because my apprenticeship, I started in 2016, and I would say a good like 6 months to a year after that. And yeah, so I would say about 5 years if you don't count the apprenticeship. 6 if you do.
Yeah. How did you find an apprenticeship, and how did you find out apprenticeships existed? Because you started searching for one in high school, right? When you were like 18, maybe 17, 18.
Oh yeah. When I first started, when I first understood what an apprenticeship was of course from like tattoo reality TV shows. So there's I think around that time there was Miami Ink, LA Ink, and Ink Master. And around that, like, you know, just the common kind of vocabulary or verbatim, and apprenticeship would always come up, and I'd be like, okay, what is this apprenticeship? And I went out and I started searching, because I told myself, I'm like, by 18, I'm gonna have an apprenticeship. Like, there's no doubt about it, because I'm a person that's very driven and determined, and I will find a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. And I didn't care if I was in a small town or anything like that. I wasn't going to let that stop me. So when I was 17 and a half, I started I had my portfolio together because I was in AP studio art in high school. And I was confident enough to go around, just get critiques or talk to different artists, even if they were to just blow me off or whatever. I mean, it's still experience in getting my foot in the door. I realized very quickly how difficult it was going to be because of getting just shut down by everybody.
Yeah, I know that feeling, like walking around, going from place to place, and they're just like, get out, you know? You're like, oh God.
Yeah, they're like, who is this kid? Like, you're not even 18, you have no tattoos. What? Like,
yeah. So whenever you talk to me about your apprenticeship, you mentioned not having internet or cell phone service, and like I've heard like, oh, we didn't have a thermofax, we didn't have a printer, but I don't think even in all these interviews people are like, no internet. How did that help you or hinder you in your tattooing? And
oh my goodness. So we live in a digital age, right? So the access to the internet is so important, especially like when I was in my apprenticeship, I was going to school. So the days where I either had a cancellation or I finished early or whatever, I would have downtime and no internet. So that would suck, because I would want to get some homework done or get ahead on something. Couldn't do that. And then when it came to tattooing, there would be some times where I have the reference and everything. It's on my computer or whatever, because I don't think I had a tablet at the time. and I had no way of printing it because there's no internet. So I can't, send the file to the printer if there's no internet. And then I can't use my hotspot because it's a dead zone where I was at. So it was just like constant struggle. Like the struggle bus was so real. No
Why didn't
internet.
they get it? Why were they like, they're just against it, or?
No, they had like he had it. He just was so bad at paying his bills on time
Oh
that it
man.
was like there was times where I would go into the shop, the lights wouldn't turn on because he forgot to pay the light bill, or he forgot to pay the internet bill, and he would tell me till he was blue in the face. Oh yeah, like the Comcast, they're down today. It's like a global.
Oh
Like,
my God.
no, it's not, sir. I'm not dumb. I know how the internet works, and you obviously didn't pay for the internet bill. So,
Jeez. But we take what we can get in apprenticeships, right? It's always like the person who's like, all right, fine. And they're like, oh, this is the best situation for sure. No.
exactly. It's like, no apprenticeship is perfect. Of course, there's different aspects of it that are, you take what you can from it.
Yeah, you're like, who will teach me? This guy who doesn't pay his damn bills, fine,
Exactly.
teach me. Yeah.
There's always the pros and the con. He definitely was not great about being a very punctual like shop owner, but I mean his work spoke for itself. He's definitely was a really talented black and gray artist. And I mean, to be taught in a small town and have someone who does what they do that is at that level, I was just like, I mean, pros and cons. Maybe I don't need the internet. Maybe I just need to watch him tattoo a little bit more and I'll be better.
Yeah, maybe. Did the not being punctual rub off on you? Do you show up to appointments like 2 hours late or anything?
I knew that.
I can't
I'm
imagine you being that person, by the way.
No, I hate that so much. I'm such a punctual person. At least I try to be. Sometimes when I live in my fantasy, it takes me a little bit longer. So, sometimes things happen, but I'm never late to my tattoo appointments. And if I am, I will let my clients know because I'll like anticipate the timing of things. And if I know I'm going to be like 5 minutes away or whatever, which has not happened in a while, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon, but definitely I try and be as punctual as possible because I'm a professional. I try to be as professional as possible.
You're like, I've seen what that does. It doesn't do any good. You don't get your bills paid.
Yeah, you don't get your bills paid. People will just be upset with you.
They're bummed. They don't like it. Well, yeah, of course,
No,
I guess.
I mean,
right?
I wouldn't. I
Yeah.
can understand that, someone who's just behind on everything, and then it ruins the fantasy, it ruins the experience of what it is to get tattooed.
Yeah, you're going in angry then, and you're so excited. That sucks.
Yeah.
Did you have to draw more? I mean, yeah, of course you did. No internet. References. Okay, like if I'm gonna draw a horse, I'm gonna pull up like 5 pictures of a horse, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna make this the best horse. I know exactly what that leg muscle looks like. I don't draw horses every day. So yeah, how did you deal with that whenever you're like, ah, shit, I need a reference? All right, here we go. What do I have in my head?
Yeah, luckily I would.
Oh,
So I would talk to.
I forgot about books. Sorry, no, okay, sorry.
No, definitely. I mean, shoot, I wish we had more like books available and everything because my boss had books, but he kept them inside of his toolbox. So
oh my God, they're like locked away. They're like, you can't touch these.
Exactly. In his little locker, in his toolbox, there's like these amazing reference books of just different artists who've had their different runs of their sketches, or I know that he had like a Fat Mac book that had a lot of roses. There was ones that had just really, really beautiful Chicano women, pinups, all that stuff. And I loved drawing female portraiture. I love drawing just everything. But yeah, whenever it came to finding references or anything like that, I would go to the back of the shop to where my coworker, Vinny, he's my homie, he had Samsung phone service, or he had a Samsung, and he had like, I don't know, the phone service that whatever worked in that area. So I was like, please turn on your hotspot. I just need it for like 5 minutes, bro. Like if I have to pay for your internet.
Did he charge you like $5 every time? Like, what do you have? You got
yeah, no, I would just be like, bro, I'll draw you something. I'll draw you something cool. Just let me use your internet. So I would get my references like that, or I'd print something out like that, if everything worked out. If not, I would freehand on a lot of things because, I'm at the time, no Thermofax, no tablet, no nothing. Caveman. No, I was behind the
You were like,
times.
I was making acetate stencils. We were rubbing them on. Yeah.
Literally, I was out there carving it into the skin, Yeah, no, I had to hand stencil everything. So I had to hope that the sizing that I printed out, that one chance of printing something out
Exactly. Oh my
was
God, I remember that. Like, oh, because we didn't have a printer or thermofax when I started, and I was like, okay, I hope I drew this the right size the first time.
in the
That's
right
so
direction
awful.
too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oof.
because that's the thing. They're like,
Flipping
oh, I want it on
something.
my right arm, not my left one. It's like, well, now it's backwards.
I got
So
so good at like just putting it up against a window and tracing it the other way real quick and be like, it's flipped. Yeah. All right, cool.
let's get this started.
Oh man. So have you always been into black and gray tattooing? Did you know what you wanted to do? Like you're great at both, but I see you do a lot more black and gray, and it's like very beautiful. So I
Thank
just
you so
assumed.
much. Thank you. No, I honestly, it's so funny because when I started getting into tattooing, a lot of my artwork is so colorful. It's very realistic, very colorful. I have a new school kind of side to me where I like to just draw a lot of really illustrative stuff with a lot of light source,
Mhm.
which is oftentimes in color. But it just so happened that the demographic of people in Manteca, they predominantly want like black and gray. And
Mhm.
because my mentor was a black and gray realism artist, I kind of I got fed more black and gray. Therefore, me producing more black and gray just gave me more black and gray, which was great. And I love black and gray so much. I mean, it's definitely, in terms of getting high detail, I love it, especially like over for longevity purposes, especially on like just a wide range of people. I feel like black
Yeah.
and gray is very timeless. And it also depends like the imagery. I do a lot of like portraiture, and I prefer to do portraiture in black and gray opposed to color because I ain't no Nico Hurtado. I mean, I would love to
Yeah.
eventually get to that type of like Steve Butcher type of hyper realism, but no, honestly, I think that sometimes I'll challenge myself with color pieces, and I'll book like larger scale projects, because usually whenever I do a color piece, I want it to be where I get to do multiple sessions on it to really build the color on it. But yeah, oftentimes people are just like, I want black and gray, and I'm okay with it. I've kind of got to that point where it's just like, as long as the concept's cool, I'm down for whatever.
Which one do you like more? Do you like one more than the other?
It really depends on the subject matter, because like now I've actually gotten to the point in my career where I'm able to kind of be more selective on what I want to book, right? So this past round of booking, I got to do a bunch of just random things that I've been wanting to do, different drag queen drawings, or just a lot of queer art, because a lot of the people who've started to come to me are queer people. And it's great that a lot of them are also Chicano. So I do a lot of, fine line black and gray realism. And I have like, a Chicano side to me. I grew up with a lot of Chicano art around me. And I feel like that influence in my work, people see it and they're just like, oh, I want your perspective, but like the way you do black and gray. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so fire. I love that, just having a queer touch to Chicano style black and gray.
I love that. I love the queer touch on all the old styles. They're so fun. Okay, so if you had 2 tips for black and gray, what would you offer? If you want to, you don't have to.
Okay, let's see. 2 tips. I would definitely say, don't be afraid to put black where it needs to be, because I oftentimes find that when people will pack in their gray washes, and they will think that because it's so dark in real time or whatever, even in the picture, that's what it's going to heal out to. But when you put solid, like a part of it that is actually supposed to be black, it makes everything else stand out more. So don't be afraid to put the black where it needs to be, and then fade it to your next dark tone. And it really it allows a piece to have that longevity, because black over time is gonna stay pretty black. You know what I mean? Especially when you're bordering in a lot of like lighter tones, or to have that contrast with it. Definitely don't be afraid to put black. Another thing I would definitely say is to trust your gray wash system, because if you know what your light tones are going to be and you know what your darker tones are going to be, like sometimes people's skin, will appear dark and then it'll lighten out throughout the session. So as long as you trust your dilution system, you should be okay. Assuming that your dilution system is like, you know what it's supposed to heal out to. Because I mean, some people will tend to do a little bit, they'll keep it more on the lights instead of like the mid-tones and the darks, but you have to have a good balance between your black, your mid-tones, and then your lightest gray, for sure.
Nice. Thank you very much for that. Can we pull up Joel's Instagram while we talk about this next part? I should have done it while we were talking about the tattooing. Lauren? Or you're probably trying to find it, huh?
She's like exited the chat. Never.
Okay. So when you were in high school, were you driven on being a tattoo artist? I know you like the marketing thing. Were you kind of like split, like, oh, I don't know if I'll do either or?
Yeah, so definitely when I was in high school, I didn't initially think about business and or I didn't really think of business as my route, because I was like, okay, when I was younger, I was really into fashion. And for a minute, I was like, oh, I'm going to be into fashion. Either way, like I've gone through so many phases where I was just like, I want something artistic, something that's going to mentally stimulate me in a different way. Because even though I was like, I wasn't a bad student, I was definitely a really good student. I got good grades. I did as best as I could, but I knew that it really wasn't something for me, because if I have this talent, why am I just gonna not fully invest myself in something I know I'm really good at and I'm passionate about? I was never passionate about, the medical field or the, being a CEO of this, tech firm or anything like that. To me, I always wanted to do something with art. Where the business side aspect came from it was I wanted to know how to sell my art. That was something that my dad told me very early on, was you're a great artist and I know that you can do what you can do, but the only way you're going to be able to sustain yourself and actually live the way you want to live is by knowing how to sell yourself, right? In the most, professional way of just presenting yourself and really showcasing who I am as an artist and how to get things sold and actually profit from it. So I remember thinking about that, because I mean, of course, every artist is told you're not going to be able to make money with it. You're not going to be able to actually have a good living, the starving artist type of narrative that is always fed to us at such an early age. So especially being in a small town where there's not a whole lot of exposure to art or, queer people or that just different type of lifestyle of that is other than very rural out here and it's Central Valley, so there's a lot of that. But yeah, I fell in love with tattooing one day. Well, I had always had such a fascination with tattooing because of just the permanence of it, and just culturally through centuries, tattoos have been such a way of expression and also just tradition. And that I've always found so fascinating. But when I saw how much more you could do with tattooing, like how the tattoo machines were starting to go from like coil machines to rotaries. And I think it was like neo-tats and like, the heavier type of rotaries that
almost back to rotaries. Like they started off rotary, went to coil, then back to rotary.
Yeah.
Like different ways, right?
In different ways, different configurations. And just tattooing in general had always fascinated me. When I started getting more into it, watching like the different shows, this is when tattoo magazines were actually like out at stands where there was Barnes and Nobles like places, or they would carry them in Target or different retailers. I would always pick up, either Ink magazine, Freshly Inked, Tattoo magazine, Rebel Ink, like all the different ink type of, Skin Art mag, different variations of these magazines, because I was always so fascinated with just the different styles out there, the different people. And it's just like, finding myself as a person too, you know, at that age, just
Yeah.
that exposure and just try to take in everything as as a sponge, you know. Always been a very big like art geek. I love just, you know, studying up on different things, just trying to push myself to be a better artist.
Do you remember like the older magazines were like, they were just like pictures of tattoos, like, and it was like every page and like pictures of tattoo, especially like early 2000s. I got sent one the other day. It was like Pain magazine, and it was the exact same setup. It was just newer tattoos, and I was like surprised it existed because I had only seen like the more modern ones, like inked lately and stuff. I was like shocked. Like, do you remember they always had horror portraits?
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, what's a slasher movie? I don't know. They had like the same ones each time. I don't know.
Yeah, there was always like the Hellraiser or like
Yeah.
the different like different horror scenes and
Yeah.
I always love that, like the textures and yeah, no, it's super dope. I love that. That's one thing that I honestly miss about having like actual physical like magazines is you know, so many of those companies, they don't produce like an actual like hard copy. Now it's all digital, everything's digital, which I mean
social
makes
media,
sense.
right?
Yeah, it makes sense with social media, and then it also like I mean from an eco standpoint, I mean less waste for sure, because I mean with everything being so accessible, it makes sense for everything to be online and to kind of just be with the times and show it. But I think that even just like, I mean, a yearly book or something. I know that there's like a yearly book of that.
I love that. Yeah, those are great.
Those are amazing. I remember seeing this one that my mentor had when he had passed. I found it in his toolbox. I was like, you were hoarding this? Sure. This is so dope. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I wish that, you know, because they do a volume every single year and it's got like amazing artists like Rose Hardy or, you know, just different, like a variation of different artists from, you know, Japanese, traditional, neo-traditional, like.
That's great. Like you could do like best of the year or like favorites of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What did your parents feel about you tattooing? Were they like, oh my God, no, get out of there? What is that why you went to school? Like where you're like, oh yeah, Dad, it's okay. I'm still going to everything.
That was the thing that was like the compromise mainly between me and my mom, right? So my dad, he is not a fan of me getting tattooed. He's not a fan of like, he's always been supportive of my art. My dad has always been very supportive. You know, he actually helped me find someone to do my apprenticeship. The initial person who was supposed to teach me, he had knew him because he's a UPS worker, a UPS driver out in the area. He knew someone just through the grapevine, and that's how I ended up getting it. But my dad always been supportive, never liked me getting them. Whenever I get them, does not look at them. He just stops looking at that. Like I had recently gotten
he doesn't look at your arms anymore.
Yeah, he has not seen them. It's so funny because my mom will literally just tease him and be like, your forehead is huge. And then just like walk away. So it's like, it's funny because he is very supportive. Both my parents are like, you know, they've grown to be a lot more supportive of what I do, especially because I'm able to sustain it. I'm able to really, I built myself up from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And early on when I was coming to this realization, like, this is what I want to do, my mom was like, you're still going to school. I don't care. I want you to get your degree. You better get that degree and you better do something with it. But she was always adamant on like, you better find a job that gives you benefits. I'm like, oh my God, like, geez. Wow. I mean, if I'm good enough in tattooing, I can pay for my own.
You can give yourself benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The benefit of that is I can pick my schedule.
Which is the best, right?
Yes.
I feel like I chose just trying to pick a career, just going through and being like, how late can I wake up? Oh yeah, that job. I'm gonna choose my own schedule. Yeah, I'm gonna wake up at 11. That sounds good.
Oh yeah.
Did your apprenticeship put a freeze on your college career, or you had to do them at the same time?
So that was the thing with being like an apprentice and also being in school. A lot of people had turned me down because they didn't want me to be in school. That was like a lot of the tattoo artists would tell me it's either school or it's tattooing. And that was always such a conflict because I'm a person that I can multitask. I can learn really fast and I can do things
You're
as
like,
I
don't doubt me. Don't
big.
fucking doubt my ass. They always say that though. Quit your job. You have a partner, leave them, you know? Like, you're like, oh,
Exactly.
brother. You don't
You
know how
have to like
complex my
sacrifice
brain
everything.
is.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to sacrifice everything for tattooing, but I mean that's not the case. You can definitely have a lot going on and still manage to do if I'm putting myself through it, I can do it. I'm the one who gets to determine that. And I never let that affect me or what I did. I never use it as an excuse to why I didn't do something. If unless I was genuinely backed up with homework and I had like X amount of exams, I would be like, okay, I am going to cancel today's, appointment
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
get to
Like,
schedule, you get to make your schedule, so it's fine.
yeah.
You
And
get
it's
to you're
like,
in control of that.
because I had my own clients, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I always, from the beginning, I like to do appointment. Of course, in the beginning, how do you get that clientele? You get walk-ins. But as I got enough tattoos and, me going to college, people were allowing me to tattoo them, to just, do small tattoos on them, eventually do bigger pieces on them. And they just trusted me. And
Oh
through
my
that,
God, you probably met so many people in school. They should tell everyone to go to school. It's like all these people in your age group who want tattoos, who love art, probably,
yeah,
That's
and
so
then just
good.
people knowing me from like school being the art kid, and being like,
Yeah.
"You're finally doing tats, man." Like, oh, tat me
Yes.
up.
They've
Like,
been waiting
okay.
their whole little lives, their whole young lives.
Yeah.
And most of the time in these interviews, the artists who really stand out are the people who have put a passion into two things and then they happen to influence each other. And I feel like that's what's been happening with your marketing. It's like been combining with your tattooing. Then you get to make these great videos, which are getting better and better.
Thank you.
What do you really enjoy about making those and putting them out in the world?
Honestly, what I love about it a lot is that it showcases my process behind things, because sometimes things take sessions, right? So whenever a person posts a tattoo, whenever a tattoo artist posts a tattoo and it's something that took them 20 hours, or, it's a full sleeve, or it's a back piece, or it's some project, not everybody really sees or has that appreciation of how much actually went into that. And to me, I think it's also a time capsule moment in my career, because it's like I capture that on film, and I also, I have it on different platforms, right? And it gives people a different view of it, a different chance to really see it. And I can eventually look back on that and be like, I made that, back in my day.
Yes.
I did that video, and just really grow from it. And quite honestly, seeing the way that I do things too. I'm a very hypercritical person of my art. So I will look back at a tattoo and I'm like, next time I see them, I'm going to do this to it. Or maybe next time.
Yeah, that means you're going to progress so far, because some people don't have that. That's like the gift is like self-hatred. No,
Quite honestly, yeah, it's self-loathing, self-hatred.
Exactly. Just like ripping your shit to shreds. Every time I meet somebody who's like really skilled, they're like, I'm like, yeah, what do you do? How do you see your work? And they're like, it sucks, And
Yeah,
like,
I'm not where I want
you're
to be.
perfect. Yeah, you're great. You're gonna be a great artist.
Fingers crossed.
So do you think like the videos and the marketing has helped you get more queer clientele by them seeing your videos up?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like I've gotten a lot more queer people because of my videos. They feel a lot more comfortable with me. They get a sense of who I am as a person. Because to me, I'm the type of person where no matter where I'm at, no matter what situation, I'm never going to change myself for anybody. I'm never going to dilute who I am for anybody, because I spent so many years of my life, like I'm not that old, but I've spent years just diluting myself to appease other people. And I'm so past that point. You know what I mean? I think that if you came to me, then you came for me, all of me, you will accept that. If not, then we don't have to work together. There's plenty of other artists out there. So that is kind of why I make sure that I have that stamp of I am a queer artist, I am a queer tattooer. If you don't like that or you don't vibe with that, then maybe I'm not the artist for you. So that's kind of what I do. And I love the fact that I do a lot of video stuff because it's able to showcase who I am, because I feel like I'm not just like the average tattoo artist. I definitely, I care about everybody that's in my chair. I mean, of course, I'm sure a lot of tattoo artists care about who they're tattooing,
but it's also so intimidating to walk into a tattoo shop. And we've talked about that before, of just like making that first step, and they're like getting to know you first. You know, they know that you're like a safe person to be around, that you do care so much, right?
Yeah, especially me being like a man too. I want to make sure that my clients that are female know that I'm not some like perverted tattoo artist, because that's something that's very much seen and talked about in the industry.
It's huge.
It's very much, yeah, it's huge, because a lot of the people who like in a sense gatekeep the industry for quite a long time, you know, a lot of that toxic masculinity and that uncomfortable environment, and making women or queer people oftentimes feel uncomfortable when it really shouldn't. You know, you're doing something permanent on someone, you should maybe,
it like burns into the tattoo. I have like one tattoo that like somebody was a dick to me, and I like hate that tattoo, not for the imagery, but it's because like the memory of it. I'm like, this sucks. That sucks. I don't want it. Like,
yeah, it's like I could have got something cooler with someone else.
Yeah, it could have been anything really. Like just the story, just being in a good place. If anyone has any questions, they should go ahead and start putting them in the chat, and we will review them in about 20 minutes. And if you don't, then that's fine too. But just a heads up, right now is a good time to put in questions. I'll start with a question. Lots of questions. I have lots of questions. If you have, do you have 2 or 3 good marketing tips for tattooers?
Yes. So definitely, I would say make sure to take well-lit pictures of your tattoos, and take videos of them, because like, even if you're stopping your client from like, they've sat there for so many hours, you know what I mean, that they can sit there for another 10 minutes for you to take a really good picture, or for you to see a really good video. Because oftentimes, you know, sometimes people are like, either they're done and they're ready to just leave or whatever. No, you get a picture of that art, you get a picture and a video for yourself, because ultimately in today's age, if you do not take a picture and post it, it didn't happen. You know what I mean? If it was a bad quality picture, a bad quality video, and it didn't showcase your art in a really good way, like, that's a bummer. Make sure that you try and get as many as possible. Even if you don't get the greatest like freshly done tattoo picture, make sure that when they come around again, when they come around with a healed tattoo, that you take pictures of it. Always take pictures of your healed work. Show that, because that's ultimately the true testament of how good of your work is going to stand the test of time. You know, have this is 5 months healed, 3 months healed, 4 months healed, whatever. Just so that it shows people this is the reality of it. Like, this is the beginning. This is what it looks like fresh, but this is what it heals out to, and this is what you're going to have the rest of your life. Because especially with like black and gray tattoos, you know, people will up the contrast on things, and they'll make their pictures look a lot darker, but then their healed pictures are kind of, you know. So make sure that you're also taking adequate pictures that really showcase your art in a very true way. And if you take a picture and a video, there's no discretions in it, because it shows what the tattoo actually looks like.
Videos are great. Do you use like one of those ring lights, or?
So also what I actually bought recently was Bishop did this line of lights with I believe it was London Reese. And I think it's called the Illuminati or something, and it's an attachment that goes onto your phone. It's this little square light, and then it comes with a polarizing lens, so that way you can get rid of the glare, and you have like a good light source, so that way it just, you know, it gives you a really good picture.
That's awesome. I didn't hear about that.
Definitely lighting is everything. Lighting and using polarized film on things so that way you can eliminate the glare will give you a better tattoo picture, better tattoo video. And that's always like the hardest part is taking a really good quality picture because with tattooing, there's always some little glare, right? So that's definitely one thing I would recommend for sure. And then also just be consistent. Be consistent online because if you don't update your online portfolio, your Instagram and everything, and you kind of go ghost, you can't complain about why you don't have clients running at your inboxes because you're not posting. You know,
Yeah.
people don't see it. They don't see your up-to-date work. They're not anticipating when you open your books because they don't have this like, wow, this person did this crazy tattoo. Like, I can't wait till they open their books. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
we have
kind of
access to this like constant advertising, but
Mhm.
what we forget is that that advertising doesn't appear unless we post. Like it just stays on your page until you post again, right?
Exactly. And from talking to a bunch of different like older tattoo artists, they're like, yeah, well, I've got my clientele and all this and all that. And it's like, that's cool. But eventually when you want to up your prices, or if you ever want to up your prices and everything, sometimes a good percentage of your clientele could be like, well, now that next stage up is a little too much for me. And now it leaves room for, opening your books to more people, and
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing,
Leads to progression, can help you progress. That's pretty good.
Exactly. Or once you finish up like like that body, that person's back. They're, however much
They're
room,
done.
yeah, they're done. And it's like that's like an end of one chapter and the start of a new, and
Hmm.
it's great because you were
We
able to,
need constant clients, constant new people for sure. We can't
Every
just
exactly.
like survive off of
our
that.
rate is entitled to inflation rates, just like anything
Yeah.
else, should minimum increase by 3%.
That's great.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
think-
coming at us with the business logic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just happened to
No,
hear it
you're
and it was
great.
fresh on my mind. And I was thinking, like the old school doesn't really have that mentality sometimes.
Absolutely.
No,
I feel
definitely,
like in
especially.
here in San Francisco or like in the Bay Area and like where you are and stuff too, it's like the pricing goes up and down all the time. And like sometimes it's like really, really high up. So we're like, oh, we have to survive. We have to like raise our rates. Like our rent goes up so much and all this stuff. So
I think the national average right now is 135 an hour.
it's pretty good national average, especially for all the yeah. But I remember back in the day it being like 70 an hour and stuff too. Or like whenever I was like, I don't know, like 7 years in. It's like,
That's so
oh
wild
yeah.
because there's some people that like that I've met that I mean obviously they get compensated for what all they produce and how much they put into their tattoos and everything, and I'll never knock someone's hustle, but
Yeah.
some people will charge like thousands and thousands of
I've
dollars for
heard $1,000 an hour. I know there's somebody up the street from me that's 1,000 an hour. And I'm like,
yeah.
whew.
Yeah, I'm like, who are you
Yeah.
tattooing? Like,
I will just go I'd rather fly somewhere. I'll fly to Germany. Or like somewhere, like where your favorite artist is, wherever.
yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
don't know. I think I'll
definitely.
fly at that point. I think my rate is 300. But I always grandfather old clients in. So there's some people I tattoo that are at older rates, like different stages. I always think that's a nice thing to do. It's like,
Well,
oh, well,
yeah.
if you were paying this, like, I still want your business. I still like you. And then, yeah.
Especially if that person like referred you quite a few clients, over the years. Because there's some people who
Yeah.
just like will send a revolving list of people, or people who are wanting more stuff, which is always really great. Or people who just pass out my business cards or who continue to get a lot of work for me. It's like, okay, I like take note of that. If you're working within this, I'll work with you, or this, kind of
Yeah.
reduce type of rate, especially like, if they're like, there's a client that I have that's actually out in San Francisco that I did 2 sleeves on. And I had to increase my rate, but for him, I kept it at the rate that I had for him because I was like, oh, well, you let me do what I do and trusted me at that stage of my career.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, yeah, I love the older clients. I also need to put a disclaimer on like it's our average pricing in this area is 200 an hour in the city.
Mhm.
I feel like if anyone from like the Midwest or like where I'm from, like heard like 300 an hour, they'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know, the same way we hear 1,000, like, oh, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm in the Midwest, and I wasn't thinking that of you or anything like that. I was just thinking,
Yeah.
like, God damn.
Yeah.
I just wasn't, it's crazy.
It's like, you know how much our rent is? It's the highest amount of rent ever in the
Wow.
United States. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, it all evens out eventually, right? Where was I? Let's see. Oh, those are your hot marketing tips. Thank you very much. Those were very good. How do you think social media has changed the way we look at tattooing?
I think that it's definitely changed it for the good, because it's allowed us to have a lot more business. Because before that, it would just be, you go into a shop, you look through the portfolios that were, in a little binder. And sometimes those aren't a really good indicator, because those are like months old, or, however long since the artist has changed it. And it's not just whatever's on the wall. It's now what people draw inspiration from online, right? And I think that that's such a great thing, because at least you're able to, like, as an artist, you're able to see what direction they want to go, what they want aesthetically, because that's another thing that I feel like people, tattoo artists, really need to take into consideration, is like, based off the, that connection that you have with your client and the vibe that they give off, and the way that they go, like their appearance and everything. Sometimes people don't want stuff that's too feminine or too masculine, or things like that. And you don't want to put if a client's asking you, hey, like, I really like the lightness of this, especially like for my more femme clients, they want a more feminine touch, then I'll maybe tone down my putting as much black in my bordering, I'll do maybe a lighter wash or something, just based off of that. And I think that that's like the great thing about the internet, is you're able to kind of tailor the tattoo experience a little bit more. You're also able to market.
You're like talking about like looking at their profiles and like what they love, like, in a way. Yeah, I haven't heard somebody like talk about like I have people like send images that speaks to them, and we talk for a minute, but I haven't even thought about like, oh yeah, give a quick scroll on their Instagram, or Pinterest, I guess is what it's called. A lot of people have those, they send those. That's a really good way, huh? That's like a way of looking at them.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, like, I work with people who literally, they'll design the tattoo the day of, just based off of like what their client wants. Me, I like a little bit more preparation. That's just me. But I mean, I also freehand stuff on. So if it gets to that point, I'll just be like, let me draw on you, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think that the internet is great, because it also allows, there's so much noise, right? There's so many different tattoo artists who are popping up, tattoo artists they didn't even know existed in Germany. A whole tattoo community of like, I don't know what they got going on in like the UK and London, but the way that they have like their neo-traditional or traditional foundation of like line-based dot work type of like designs, and just like the way they compose things is so different. It helps inspire us as artists, just what is possible and what other people can produce, or what other people are thinking or seeing. And it's just like, wow.
It makes your brains grow.
Yeah. No, and I think that's lovely. That's amazing. And it's constant growth. I mean, just look at this, this podcast, video, everything.
We're online right now. Yeah.
We're live right now. We're giving you the full fantasy,
I also think it makes it more accessible, because before it, again, like, intimidating to walk into a tattoo shop, to know what that tattoo shop's about. But now with like Instagram, social media and stuff, you're able to look at the work and get to know the person before you step through those doors, so for sure you're walking into a safe place if you're a queer person, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Or anyone, just knowing that you're in a good space. That's some good stuff. Are there any questions in the chat? Does anyone have any questions?
Let's see. We do have comments of Joel being a beast and hello. So thank you, but no questions so far. So now would be a good time for all of you watching to you ask away.
Ask us questions. I always want to do relationship advice, and nobody will ever put in relationship advice.
Oh my
I
God.
think that'd be so
Being a tattoo
fun.
artist
Client
and having a
relationship advice
relationship.
or
What?
client
Yeah.
relationship advice?
Oh no, I just mean like love line. Like
Oh, love lines.
let me and Joel like hook you up in your love life. We're gonna do a terrible job, but
Uh,
so rad.
yeah.
If
I
you
feel like-
had to choose other people to work with, do you have any like artists that influence you heavily in California or from around the world that you would love the chance to work with or guest spot with?
Ooh.
Ooh, oh my God. I would live my best life if I got to tattoo next to some of the best, like some of my favorite artists are new school artists because I think that I feel like new school artists are so underappreciated because that, you know, it's seen as like cartoony or whatever, but no, these people are creating things straight from their mind. The light sourcing is insane. You know, the understanding of depth of feel and creating an entire scene. Like I go and get tattooed by one of my favorite guys. His name's Big Greg out in Sac. He you know, he goes and he does seminars you know, just with storytelling and understanding like, you know, the values and in color, how, you know, it really sets the tone, the mood, the feel of the overall piece, right? And I think that that is something that is that a lot more people could benefit from. And I would live if I could tattoo next to Kelly Doty, Timmy B, Big Greg, I think it's Lindsay Baker, Jesse Smith, Jimmy Litwalk, Joe Capobianco, just like some amazing.
You need to go to the Tahoe convention. That's where they all are at, hanging out
I
each
do.
time.
I
It's
really want to
so
go.
good. Also, I have to tell you, I hate to break it to you, but you missed like that. You know how every tattoo style goes in a wave of 10 years. Right now, we are in the years of black work. But the 10 years prior to that, it was new school. New school was very popular and a lot of people were appreciating it. So I think we're just going to go in style waves and every 10 years it'll change. It'll be like, I think Biomech will come back hard. It's going to be our time again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
new
anime is
school.
starting to shine a little bit, so maybe that'll
Oh,
morph
that's
into
true.
something a little bit.
That is very
Yeah,
true.
that is very cool. I definitely share your appreciation for new school tattoos. Those are amazing.
Mhm.
Where can people watch your videos at?
You can find me literally everywhere at Joel Mejia Tattoo on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all just Joel Mejia Tattoo.
Marketing genius, you're so
Oh.
good. Yeah, like it's all the same. You got it.
I just had to say all the domains, you know, my
Yes.
website, joelmejiatattoo.com.
Killing it.
All of it.
All right, I'm gonna close this out unless we have any more questions.
No more questions, but before we went live, we were talking about conventions. So when things do settle down, maybe next year, do you have any like favorite conventions people can find you at or any places you'd like to go?
I honestly, anywhere and everywhere. I recently just got a sponsorship by Helios Needles. So hopefully I get to do, you know, work in their booth or something. That would be pretty dope. But I mean, honestly, I'm down to just, I really want to do Tahoe. I want to do Hell City. I really want to do the state one out in LA, the one that Nico and Carlos Torres usually host. I just want to go out and do things, you know. I want to go meet people, talk to people, have a good time, you know.
That sounds great. When can we do that? Can we do that now? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
We're getting there. Okay, you can follow Joel at Joel Mejia Tattoo. You can follow Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo at Reinventing the Tattoo. And you can follow me at Haley Adams Tattoos and this interview series at Live in the Castro Tattoo. Also, check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. This one will be uploaded next week. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you so much for having me, Haley. I loved it. I love doing this. So if you ever want to just hang out or talk, I'm here.
I'm down. Yeah, come guest, come to Castro. We'd love you to have you. Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And you guys, we would hope to see you soon, whether it's in a drawing group or anything like that too.